Hello, and welcome back to Learn a Skill. Today we're going to be continuing the JavaScript journey. Here I got the snake opened up. I have a little bit of a plan for today. We are going to focus on the actual main page of the game. We're going to keep our focus on the snake game. I have decided that we are going to not actually make a page component, as I said in the last part. I believe we're going to focus on making everything in JavaScript, and hopefully that will simplify it down. Of course, we can always change it later. But I'm hoping to make like the actual main game all run in sequence, just through the JavaScript files alone. That way, it's less complicated. The simplest solution is always usually the answer. So I want to keep it simple for now, as we're still learning. Obviously, I'm still learning here. Still heavily relying on ChatGPT for most items. So I just want to continue to kind of expand my knowledge of JavaScript with experience before I go into mainly the React objects. So I'm going to focus on that. So the main things I want to do today is add a settings file that connects all of the global variables between the various files that we have here. And then I want to add the actual main page, and I'll make it so that the actual game doesn't start until something like spacebar is pressed, or maybe text is clicked. I'm not sure yet. Notice how far we get. Probably just start with a key press, so probably spacebar. I want to add a main control component, so our actual main will go inside the component after the whatever our button case is actually clicked. So yeah, that's the plan for today. So let's just hop right in. So the first thing I need to do is obviously I need to start the actual site. I did not expect the score bug to take as long as it did last time. We definitely found a simple solution. I don't know if it's very elegant, but we got there in the end, I guess. The score is displayed somewhere on the screen, so mission accomplished there. Go ahead and start our our virtual environment here. Oh, we got that started. Go ahead and run our manage file. Go ahead and run server. I was thinking of making the settings a little more complicated. I had a couple ideas where maybe it routes to another page and you submit a form to the back end, because I actually haven't much experience with that. There is you can see on the left side of the screen here, there's a resume component which has actually made a resume model. Let's see if I can pull it up here. In the API, the model actually made a resume object model. I didn't copy it, I based it around the LinkedIn. So, just title, subtitle, start date, end date, blah, 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 blah. So I was maybe wondering if you could do something like this for the actual settings file, where you go in and you have like a React component with sliders, and you change the size of the canvas or the color of the snake, things like that. That might be further down the line. That is just an idea that I had. So if we look here, we need to get our front end started now. CD into our front end, and then CD into portfolio. And then actually run the site. So this should open into our local host. We just pull that up on the screen. And here we are, Snake game. So the main purpose of today's coding I don't want to say assignment, adventure, if you will, is to make it so that when you click snake, it doesn't automatically start the game. Because that would be kind of jarring. You load the page, you read about whatever, online portfolio software developer, you look at the links, And then you're like, oh, snake, what's this? And you go snake game, and then you're already dead, you know. 'Cause eventually, I want to have a. This might be a little ambitious, but a scaling mechanism where the game, you know, increases speed or increases difficulty. Eventually, I want to have enemy barriers that come out. That'll be the first step of the actual game, where they go out in certain directions, and if the player hits them, they die, obviously. And add other features like that. I want to add particles, so particle engine will be in store soon, hopefully. But the main thing is I just want this to not automatically begin. And to ensure that main doesn't get complicated, I might change this file name so that I wanna have a like main controller file that will control which state the game is in. So paused, active, so we can tell like when the menu is, so that I just don't have, you know, a million conditions in the actual logic loop here. So this is actually going to have to change. Instead, this will probably be one call to the master file that will call all of these actions. We'll have to pass in the context, but it shouldn't be too bad. I hope not. Feel free to code whatever you want. Just you know, follow along if you want. You know, learn some JavaScript with me. It's kind of the point. I mean, it's not really the point. You know, I just want to normalize. You know, just learning. You know, just going step by step, learning by yourself, not having that, you know, anxiety of, am I doing this right? Am I doing this effectively? Am I doing this the best way possible? You know, just take it back, you know, and develop. Learn, develop your own methods, and I feel like that is the best way to learn. Anyway, spiel over, rambling. So let's get started. First thing I want to do is a settings file. So I'm gonna go ahead and make a settings file. We could do a text file. I'm just gonna do a JavaScript file. Probably do a class. Have, you know, class settings, and then obviously we want to export this. So we get class settings. First thing we're gonna need is the constructor. So when you say new settings, that we know exactly what to do. Actually, I wonder if you actually need the constructor. If you could just say, you know, canvas height equals 400. And then could you call, actually let's check that. Let's go ahead and go into main, call the settings object. First we gotta import settings. We will have to import settings into every file that wants to use it, unless we want to pass it as a constructor, which may be better. Less complicated, I mean. So we're gonna go ahead and get that. So I gotta make this a capital. Capitalize that. So here we'll have. Actually, we'll go to top. I believe because there isn't an actual constructor, couldn't we just call? Like I say, let's do canvas size is 400, and then I literally just say settings dot canvas size. Would that automatically call it? That would be pretty handy. That way we don't have to construct it and make it an actual object and such. So let's go ahead and check that out. Okay, so we have a little bit of behavior we don't want here. I'm getting an undefined, which makes it never works the first time. Pull that back up. So that's weird because I believe it is 400 naturally. So maybe let me just log the actual value itself. Canvas size. You know, let's go ahead and check that. So I'm getting it undefined. So it's saying that this is undefined. Let me make sure. Maybe if I put this? No, because that would require the instructor. That is an interesting. That's interesting behavior. Let me see. I believe you can do that in Python. You go ahead and see what old Master ChatGPT thinks. So it looks like maybe we could do this. Not sure what that does. No, cannot do that. If push comes to shove, I'll just make it a constructor and then just have everything be this. I'm not sure. Read only. So instead of const, it's suggesting a read only. But we still get an error. Oh, it's saying that we're in TypeScript. So the main point of the settings file is to have numbers that do not need to change, such as color values and actual canvas size. So it says that I actually did it correctly the first time. So this is class properties with a constructor, which I see. So it looks like we're gonna need to construct it anyway to get the actual setting there. So I'm just gonna use a constructor. A little bit of waste of time there, but. So the first thing that I want to put in here is things like this. So the grid size is what's splitting up the canvas size. So say this value is 400 and this value is 20. We will have a 20 by 20 grid. And this is used by the actual objects when they move or draw themselves. That way when they actually draw themselves, I'm trying to find an example here, when they actually draw themselves, it draws them in a square. See, this is saying, you know, move one grid. This is also saying we want a rectangle at this position with length and width of the actual grid. So that's what the grid size is used for. So in the settings file, we want everything that is static. That way, when we need to change a variable, say we wanted to change the actual grid size, we don't have to go through every single file and change the grid size. We go to this file, change the grid size, that changes it for every single other file. in the application. So here, score is actually pretty dynamic, so I definitely want to keep it in the actual main. Definitely want to keep it there so that, because we don't really need, we don't want to display. Yeah, we should keep this here in layman. Okay, so actually this uses the grid size. I wanted to group them all together. So I guess just at the top this dot settings equals settings. Construct. Put the new. Okay. So this settings, new settings, grid size, canvas size, score, score text. So actually this is going to be this dot settings dot canvas size. And then this is going to be this dot settings dot canvas size. I actually messed it up. So this is supposed to be grid size. Okay. That's the first thing. The next thing I want to do is add the colors. So let's go ahead and add the colors. It's actually, we're gonna have to, if we put the color inside the settings file, we're gonna have to call the settings file in this class anyway. So it's gonna have its own version unless we pass it. Yeah, so what if we passed settings and we said this dot settings dot grid size, and then this dot settings dot canvas size, and then this dot color would be, actually let me make sure this is actually present in the settings before I call it. And then go ahead and move this down here, put a comment, snake or player settings, and then up here will be the overall settings, I guess, or display settings. And instead of this color, we'll do this dot snake color. Whoops. Okay. Go back to snake. This should be this dot settings dot snake color. Okay, awesome. So we call in the settings. So now what we need to do is actually pass the settings into here. And we're going to want to do the same thing with the food object. That way we only have, I guess the same thing with text as well. That way we only have one settings object that's being passed through to multiple files. That should work. Let me go ahead and update. Call to settings here. That way we can actually like put fonts and stuff in the settings. That way we can have multiple fonts, which makes everything read a lot easier. This is snake object stuff, so we don't want this in the settings. This is the actual snake itself. The snake is actually an array, and how the snake moves is the array will it will calculate a new area for the snake to go. It will then add that area to the front of the array, and then check if the array is now longer or not as long as what it's supposed to be. So say we've eaten 2 food, and the actual length of the snake should be 3 blocks. So what we'll do is it will add it, put it in the front, and then if the length is 4, if we added it and now it is 4 instead of 3, it will remove the last snake but keep the new one. So so it simulates the snake actually moving, when what's actually happening is just manipulation of array. So anyway, we got settings here. I believe these are only files, right? No objects. And then instead of food constructor, we need settings here. And then we can just get this at settings. This at settings. Position is going to be not in the settings since that is dynamic. Color, however, will be in the settings. So go ahead and food settings. This dot food color equals red. Great. So now we just got to update the call in here. So this dot settings dot food color. I believe that this should work and we should get the same implementation. Oh, of course. Okay, let's see. So actually passing the settings might not work. Let's see. So we're actually getting the error. I can't read grid size in snake. A new snake at line 18. Yes. So this line, it goes in snake. It tries to read the grid size and it fails. Why? Because I put this dot settings when there isn't actually a this. Or actually, you want to call this object not this dot settings. So I'm going to change. I'm going to update all these, and that was the reason that that was grayed out. Was actually because it wasn't getting used, and that's why we didn't get the undefined. And then that's why we got the undefined. Great. Yeah. Let's. Okay. And it looks like we have the regular implementation of snake. Yeah, score 3. Yeah, we're looking good. The next thing I want to do is have the text also be updated through the settings. So we can go ahead and add text settings. If I can spell. So what do we need for the text? So right now, we should have score font, maybe color, and then this is a function for the context. So I think the first thing we need is, I don't know if we want to have all text color be black. We probably will, but for now, yeah, for now we only have a certain amount of text, so let's just go ahead and do this dot color, and then we'll make it settings dot text color. And then we're gonna need, we'll use the same font for now. Actually, we're gonna want titles to be a different size, and the size is put into the font, so I'm gonna separate the actual font. So we'll do score font, and then settings dot score font. And then now we just gotta update this to this dot score font, and then this dot color. Then we should get the same behavior. I just gotta make sure to add these objects into the actual settings file. So I believe this was black, and then this dot score font was 12 pixels times New Roman, and then I forgot to add semicolons. Okay, let's go ahead and make sure the behavior is working the same. Nothing broke. And we got a score. It's black, and it looks Times New Roman. And we are still working. Great. Still doing good. Okay, next step. We have the settings file, which helps. Now all of our settings are here. The next is the menu, I'm guessing, the start. Now, yeah, we definitely want this logic in separate files, so we'll do menu. So we have the menu here. Go ahead and do export class menu. So the end goal for this, go ahead and add the constructor. We're gonna have to pass settings into here as well. Because we're actually going to change. This is actually going to also have settings. Because eventually we're going to have, I'm going to change this to, I'm actually going to rename this file to main_game. Or, I guess more appropriate would be just game. Game. Yeah, go ahead and up the imports. Yes. Sorry about the noise on that. Go ahead and pull up the snake. You're okay. Error aborted. Localhost. It's probably because of the import. Yeah, because I renamed the snake game first. Wait, no, that's the folder. That should be the correct import. We also get rid of this since we're not doing that anymore. Yes, it should be the correct import. Ah, but I'm not exporting class game, I'm exporting class main. So this should actually be... Actually, I put that in the wrong place. Let's go ahead and add main. Before we do anything, let's add the actual, what we want to be the actual main, which is going to control the interactions between the menus. So we're going to put the export class main. So here, instead of the actual React component doing this logic, we're going to do it in our main file. So basically we want to import game from /game.js, I believe. And of course, yes, okay. So we have game. Go ahead and do the constructor. So we can have this game equals the class game import from the file. It needs the settings. Let's go ahead and copy the import from settings. Go ahead and copy the brackets. Those are needed. I'm not exactly sure on that one. And then pass in the settings. Oh, settings. Okay. And then that way, we can actually take this port out. And then, I'm not sure what this line did. We'll have to remove that as well. Let's focus on the actual main. And then we're also going to have, you know, menu. And then we're probably also going to have to pass settings to the menu. And then, yeah, we're already exporting, has the settings. So that should be fine. So I think that's all we're going to need. We just need to actually have the... So first, we're going to need to run a frame of the game. So every frame, let me make sure I have the same naming convention. So every frame, we need to move the objects. Specifically, we need to move the snake. And then this is also going to be changed. We would probably want, no, we would want the main to have the game over. Except we'd want the main to control the game over. So essentially we want all of this logic to happen inside of our JavaScript instead of inside of our React. And then that way we can just focus on having, I guess it's not right. We can focus on having the actual web page and then the game being completely separate objects. So if something breaks, the whole website doesn't break. So basically, this is going to be our run frame, essentially. This console log is no longer needed. The alert, we could probably change eventually. So this is going to obviously need the context to be passed in.
So this runs the game frame.
This will have to be changed to So it's actually a little more. I didn't really think this one through. I didn't think this would be as much as of a pain as it is because we're actually calling main, so it should have the game size. Let's just focus on one step at a time. Let's take it slow. So essentially what needs to happen is that this needs to be done every frame. So these actions need to be taken. But instead of main, it's going to be game. Because we renamed the file. Game score is actually going to turn into game.score. And then this is also going to be game. Should have controlled method, but so this controls this frame. So instead we can literally just say main dot run game frame. Pass in the context. I believe we should be able to get the behavior we were getting before. No, something's happening. Let's see. Rest of module snake game underscore game slash game.js does not provide an export named main because of this. Yes. Okay. So we're actually getting main now from slash snake game slash main. So now we should get original behavior. No. Class constructor game cannot be invoked without new. This will be here, new, and then new. Try again. Get another one. Settings is not defined. Awesome. At game. And this is because, again, I have this.settings, but instead I passed in the settings now. Get another new game. New game. This is this one. I didn't pass. Settings is not defined. Settings. Sorry. New game. Game.js. New main. At snake. And it goes into main, which is this file. At line 8, it goes into new game, game.js, and it gets to line 10, which is this.settings is new settings. Ah, should have removed that. Okay. No, menu is not defined. Awesome. I did this terribly. Okay. So we got the app, new main, menu is not defined. New main, here. Menu is not defined because I didn't import it. Our actual menu file doesn't have anything in it currently, so it's kind of pointless to import it, but just have the functionality for when we actually implement it. I actually don't think you need the trailing slash here. I believe we should have a working program. Of course not. Provide an export name menu. Did I not put? Ah, didn't capitalize it. Now, moment of truth. Oh man. Okay. Instrument's not defined at app. App line 60. We're here, game score. I'm just gonna remove it. I'm not exactly sure what this part of the code does. We'll have to do some research on that. I believe it has something to do with the use effect. So, which I don't completely understand yet, currently. But we'll get there, one step at a time. I want to focus on JavaScript. Please, please, please. Game score is not defined at 66. I should have removed this when... Yeah, this can just be removed. In the last part we saw, we moved the functionality from the actual web page into the JavaScript itself, which is why we use the text file, why we use draw score, because we were getting a error where when you use state with React, it doesn't update it updates asynchronously. So we're getting a ton of issues with that. So eventually we just moved it inside the actual JavaScript game instead of the web application. So now we get snake game. So it's an improvement. So we get a reference error, game is not defined at main run game frame. Here. Main.js line 14. If game dot is over. Interesting. Because I didn't use this, of course. Man, I really didn't set this up very nice. I should have just used Control F again. It's alright. We learn. We adapt. We overcome. Anyway. Move this down. Okay. Uncaught. Clear canvas is not defined. Of course. Clear canvas is actually in here. So, yeah, I believe we're going to move this into run game frame. So it should just be this. I had some issues trying to do this earlier, so hopefully we won't get any. Actually, let's go ahead and make that a no function. Hopefully it'll work since we're just passing in the context. This is a comment made by ChatGPT. The king. Oh, here is another variable that could 100% be used in the settings. Except I believe it is actually used for the loop, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here. So this determines, as we saw in the last part, this determines the speed of the game, so how fast the frames are gone. So this set interval does this every so often based off of the speed. I would like to put that into settings. We probably can. go ahead and import it. If I spell it right. And then we just gotta replace this with actually this needs to be capital since we're not making an object. And then we'll go ahead and make game settings. This dot game speed equals 100. So, how many errors do we get this time? Clear canvas is not defined. Probably because I didn't put this. Probably because I didn't use it. This, nope. So this checks if the snake is inside of itself, which is what this function does, which comes from the actual game file. So if the snake is inside of itself, then do the end logic and do not draw another frame. But before any of this happens, we need to clear the canvas. Eventually, I might want to make an implementation where the game actually doesn't clear the canvas if it's a game over. Because see, if the game resets, I don't know. We'll have to examine this behavior. So say the game resets, it clears the canvas, it resets. We have piloted the snake into itself. We piloted the snake into itself, and then we reload the window, and then we reset. So what the reset does is, actually we might have to change this. It reinitializes the snake. This is gonna have to be. Yes, we actually are gonna have to have a this dot settings. Except we can do it down here since I guess we could just do equal settings and then just call this dot settings down here. Hopefully this will be fine. But it resets the food location and the snake location. However, I'm noticing it doesn't actually draw because it returns right after this. So we have a clear canvas, it resets the locations, and then it clears canvas again. So maybe we need a draw here. Actually, let's get it working and then see what actually happens. That is a lot of errors. It is happening at main JavaScript 15. We're getting a canvas ref. That's probably why I put it. Yes. Interesting. So I guess we're just gonna have to pass those in. I wonder, could we just call canvas.width? Does it have to be canvas_ref.current? Because this is canvas_ref.current. And then we're gonna have to go back in here and add those. Is it supposed to be width height? Yes. So I gotta change one of these. Width, height. Go ahead and pass that into clear frame, clear canvas. And then just and okay. Also, the fill style. This is a color. I believe the comment said it was green, or not green, light gray. I don't know the color codes, but this is a setting that we can use. So That way, we don't have to declare it every time we clear the canvas. And now we just gotta yes. Okay. I was just thinking, what would be the difference of importing settings and just saying capital S is grid size for everything? What does passing it through actually accomplish for us? Because, I mean, how would this be different than me just saying and then literally just going like this instead? I mean, would this be a cleaner implementation than, say, passing it through everything? Rather, just import it. Because we're not actually changing these. That's the point. So if they're all statics, or constants, then, you know, passing it through, making the actual object, because at some point we actually make the object. I believe in here. We actually, see, these just pass settings. So why am I passing it when I can just import it into every file? I'm not actually sure. I'm not actually sure what's the best practice there. I have to look into it. My gut now is saying to import into every file. I feel like that might just be cleaner. Because instead of saying, it just kind of makes it more complicated to pass it through to every single, when you could just add an import. I think I'm going to change that. I do need to work on that. My conventions is I will switch from convention to convention in terms of naming, or like I know all my current imports don't have this bracket, but then all the ones I've written previously do. So I need to work on making them all the same for sure. But now we literally just change this, because now we don't need this stuff. We actually don't need to make the object. We can just say, actually, we're not going to need these at all. Not going to need any constructors at this point, so that's pretty sick. So I actually think that this will be the way to go. I think it does kind of simplify things. So now I just got to go through the boring part, every file. Remove this. Import it. I think I'm gonna do the bracket notation. I'm gonna try to stick with the bracket notation, so it can just be uniform. I do that a lot with naming. I'll just switch from brackets from camel case, which is capitalize the first letter of each word, but make it one sentence like this. This is camel case, where the first one is capitalized, and then every word after that, the first letter is capitalized. Another way to do it is having underscores between them, but don't capitalize the first letter. I will randomly switch from those from time to time, but so here we got settings and then capitalized settings here. I think this one's good. Here we don't have the brackets, it's out the brackets. And then I do like having this space here. I'm a big fan of white space, I know some people are not. Get rid of the parameter. Settings. 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 Are we good? Import is done. Import is done. Import is done. Go ahead and add it here. We're more than likely going to need it. It's done. Don't need the constructor. And settings is good. And then instead of this, remove this, remove this. Now watch, I do research and then it says the way I did the first time is more efficient, but I feel like this is cleaner. It's easier to read, less complicated. So yeah, let's go see our millionaires. 3,000, awesome. So the main thing is, I already see it, is I didn't include the parameters here when I added them here. So let's go ahead and check again. We get a black screen. Again, clear canvas is not defined, which is interesting. Because it is this one. I actually don't think we're going to need this one anymore, since we cleared the canvas at the start of the frame. We might cause issues, I'm not 100% sure. So, we actually don't get errors anymore. But we have a black screen. So, that's obviously not intentional. So, the first thing I'm thinking is clear canvas. Is this working? Let's go ahead and copy this, but put it in its respective places. I believe this one was here, and then this one was obviously here. Does that change anything? I don't think it's a clear error. It might be an error with how. So we're running the game frame. So the first thing we do is make a new instance of main here, which then in turn makes new instances of game and menu, which I don't believe anything would be going wrong in here. It definitely could have something to do with a settings is undefined somewhere. I don't believe it is, because the only thing we actually changed are the constructors. I believe it has something to do with here. So window.location.reload. It's definitely this. What is window? Actually, it shouldn't be with this because this isn't even being called because the game's not actually over yet. But this will probably be a problem. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So could it be we're filling the rectangle? Could it be this? I wonder. What? Wrong button. Okay, I wonder if it was this, because this was actually canvas ref, I believe. Before I changed it, actually, let me look at that for sure. Canvas ref.current. That could be the problem. Hopefully, something easy. Could also be a problem that I just didn't save this. It's not. Okay. Interesting, interesting, interesting. So say, because this was the original game loop. I remove this, and instead I say this, what happens? We're gonna have to change everything, of course. Let's go ahead and make a... I believe you can just do... I mean, not game. Hopefully. I do need to learn my keyboard shortcuts. I do not know how to label everything at once. Actually, this is campus route. Come on, come on, come on. Width's not defined. Where? Width, here. Go ahead and copy this call. See, I wonder if it has something to do with clear canvas. I wonder if it's just like the color is black. I don't know why it's not the same size though. I should have just commented out the things I removed. I'm trying to refrain from just jumping over to ChatGPT. However, I'm having trouble convincing myself that. Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and see what my best friend here has to say. And obviously my stance on using ChatGPT is go for it, of course. It's a credible tool. I think there's a difference between fully relying on ChatGPT and using it as a tool. Currently I am fully relying on it for sure. But I'm learning. The goal, I'm relying on it with the intention that eventually I do not rely on it. Which is just, I try and try to keep it away longer and longer. However, doing absolutely everything through ChatGPT, including course or work, obviously that is not okay, but so what does it say? Wow. Of course. I cannot believe this. It says, ensure that main uses an instance of settings and not directly accessing properties. Wow. So my original implementation was actually better. According to ChatGPT, of course. Wow. So I have to go change it all. That's a little rough. That's rough. Damn. Damn, are you sure, ChatGPT? Don't do this to me. Yeah, I think it has something to do with... The actual problem may have something to do with this right here. Like, if I just change this to 100, would it work? Let me make sure that fix that. Pull it up? No, of course not. I have no idea why it's just a black screen, but... we will figure it out. So I guess I'll just go through it all again. Wow. Isn't coding a joy? Isn't coding a joy? So basically, I'm just gonna do it again where I pass it through everything. Actually, before I do all this, I'm just gonna have both versions. I'm just gonna comment this, copy paste, and then pass settings through. And then, learning, I'm gonna use Control F to find this dot settings. Or no, I need to find settings with a capital, and change it to this dot settings. Lowercase. Let's go through. Does I need to change that one? No. Yes. I believe that's all of them. Dude, when I code and I look at these words, this just doesn't look spelled right. Like, is it spelled right? Let me make sure it's spelled right. That's how you spell settings, right? Yeah. It just, when you look at words for so long, it just completely destroys your perception of them. I swear. When I look at words while I'm coding for too long, it's just like I lose the ability to read. It just does not look correct. Anyway. So now I'm gonna have to do this all over again, which is just the absolute best thing ever. Actually, it doesn't seem too bad if this is the only calls. No, this just needs to be settings actually. I literally just gotta change it from not capital to, or from capital to not capital. I guess it's actually not gonna be that bad. Just going through each one. Okay, it's actually kind of bad. Okay, last one. Watch, I'm gonna do it and then it's gonna be like, actually, you should import each file into each. You should import settings to each file, obviously. This is probably also gonna be it. So now, for all this. Oh, now I gotta update these. Oh man. I should have just kept it the way it was. I'm really like that. I'll sit there and I'll do something, and then I'll go do something else, and then 10 minutes later I'll be like, actually, I have a different idea for the implementation I just worked 30 minutes on. And then I'll go do it. And then it won't work, and then I'll have to change it all back. It's great. So it actually said to also make an instance in here. And I kind of just wanted to work at this point, so let's do it. Okay, please don't be a black screen. Oh, it's a white screen. Now I have to go through this all over again. Wow, I love coding. Main 12 new game settings should be this settings. Oh, okay, we got something here. Something is happening. So that was the problem. I should have just kept the original implementation. Oh, let that be a lesson. Okay. Actually, let's go all the way. I believe the window size is just messed up because of the window size. Okay, so this is actually working with this loop instead. Are the keys working? No. But hey, something is happening, and that is wonderful. So we got the loop to work. The main's actually working. The loop is working. For some reason, however, the actual canvas size is not main.canvas size. Main doesn't have a canvas size, and therefore that is the problem. So actually, we just gotta change the settings. So I wondered if doing it the other way, I wonder if that was getting undefined, and then that's why, like maybe it was clearing to an undefined color. Like maybe, like we had the color here, but when it tried to access it from the direct import, it was undefined for whatever reason, and it just defaulted to black, maybe. But here we go, we're back. We are back. However, as you can see, when I actually try to play the game, I'm getting, we're actually trying to change direction. Something weird is happening. So, Actually need to find where hit detection is being, or not hit detection, right? The change direction. Where is change direction actually being called? Here. Aha. So this, it's just calling this. We just gotta change this to main.game.snake. So we're continually nesting objects here. These 7 files. Personally, I like working with more files. It separates my thoughts. I can see how... I don't know. Personally, I like making file structures, I guess if you can call them that. Help separate, as I said, my thoughts, but I know a lot of people just, especially in like college, where when you're starting you just have one file with 1,000 lines. I'm trying to get over that behavior. I know I did, especially at the beginning. Okay. We actually have the game working. No errors. So now we change it to main.game.snake. Now we have a change direction. Okay. So, actually, looking at it right now, one thing I want to do is, as you can see, there's an outline. There's a black outline around the squares for the snake. I want to make a black outline for the food. Actually, what we could do is the snake. So I'm guessing this is the actual. So this is actually. So this makes the fill style, and then this makes the. This makes the actual rectangle. Fills it with the fill style, and then this puts the outline around the snake. It doesn't seem to have a color option, so I'm guessing that default is black. I wonder if I can see what the actual parameters it accepts. Number, and number. Awesome. I'm guessing it's just default. I'm guessing it's just black. Let me ask GBT here. Interesting. So it actually says that this is you can't change this. It's actually just based off of the stroke style. So just like the fill style works. I should have noticed that this actually doesn't have a color parameter either. So this can actually be done. Here we do it with actually just a word. I wonder if this could just be gray then. There's actually, you can name it, so it says named color, hexadecimal color, RGB color, HSL. I don't know what HSL is. And then it says HSLA with transparency, which we might use. But I wanted to do this dot secondary color. I guess set color would be fine. And then say this dot set color is equal to the settings dot set color or snake, and then I do like the black, so I'm just gonna keep it that for now. Of course we don't. Of course now, if we ever want to change it, go to settings, change this word, boom, done. Let's make sure we still have a black outline. We do. So now I want to add that for the objects. I want to add that to the food. I actually just noticed something. I don't have a single semicolon for these. Nice. And then this dot secondary food color. Go ahead and also make it black. And then we'll go back. And then we gotta update the draw. So ctx dot stroke. And then we have to copy this command. And instead, I believe it is just stroke correct. Let's go ahead and check. Now we have a black outline around the food. Awesome. Oh. 4 arguments required, but only 0 present. In snake.js? What did I do? Oh. Oops. Okay. I think we're good on errors now. Great. Okay, so the main... wow. It took a lot longer than I thought. An hour in, and haven't even actually done the main part of the video, which is adding the pause. So, since this is already really long, I'm going to try to make it pretty simple. I would like it to... I made a Python implementation of this, as it is my main language, and I did so that every time you press spacebar, it would automatically just pause it at any frame. So I might go ahead and try that now. It makes it pretty easy for debugging because you can check every single frame without it being too much of a hassle. So let's go ahead and try to add that. The first step would be... So menu, I believe I'm going to put in here. One thing I want to do is handle the events. I don't want it to just be the snake. I want to make a key handler in the actual main application. I did the underscore instead of the camel case. So we have a key handler here. That is the wrong syntax. We have a key handler here. So what happens here is we pass this the event. So we're gonna need the event. Basically, what I want to do is I want to have the... Where is the keys? Change direction. So this checks the key, and it... this is W. This is down, right, or W S D A. And then it just calculates to see if you're allowed to turn that way. Because obviously if you're going right and your snake is 2 lengths, if you're going right and you turn left, you're just going to run into yourself, which would be an automatic failure. So you don't want to do that. So that just checks to make sure that that can't happen. So basically, I think I'm going to change this to snake keys. Snake key handler. And instead of just handling the snake keys here, I want to handle all keys in the key handler. So, say we have the event, and then the key pressed is the key code. So we're going to have to need that first. So basically, I want to check... The first thing I want to check is if the key is involved with a menu. I wonder... Maybe we could have a constant or a property here that's the state, and then we could say it's... So the possible states are running and paused and probably menu, I'm guessing. Eventually menu and pause would probably be the same. We probably just used we want the initial state to be paused, so it doesn't automatically start. So I'm guessing so we don't have to check every single possible key every single time. We could say if the state. We could check the state instead. And then I think you have to use 3 equals here. If it's paused or in a menu, then what is happening here? What is wrong? Oh, I forgot the. I'm spoiled by Python. Okay, so we want to say so we have the pause state. Then we want to direct the key handler to the menu. That I actually don't know here. So let's leave the menu implementation for, I'm guessing, part 3 or 4. Probably part 3. Let's leave the menu implementation for part 3. And then let's just try to get a pause to happen. So in the sense of, I press spacebar and the game freeze frame. And then it's stuck in that loop. But actually, and that's kind of the thing, is that the loop isn't being controlled by the JavaScript. It's actually being controlled by this. So basically, I'm going to want to say, I'm going to not actually run the game frame. I'm going to want to run a paused frame. So the game frame, you're actually running the game, right? However, in a paused frame, all we're going to want is either the menu to show up or text. In this case, I'm probably going to say text. Actually, I'd say we could just do, yeah, probably text, like just paused. Literally just the word paused at the top, maybe, for now. And then up when we do part 3, update the menu logic to actually display the menu instead of just a word. And then have whatever options there. So a paused frame is going to need to have, it's going to need to draw text, obviously. So it's going to need to draw. So actually we're going to go into menu. And let's do a draw function here. So what do the other draw functions actually look like here? So the draw snake, we pass the context, and then this goes through every snake, every element in the array, and prints it. So here, we're going to want to pass the context. What are we going to want? We're going to want a text on the screen, for sure. Now the thing is, with what we're trying to accomplish right now, we're only going to want to draw once, because there's nothing that actually needs to update the screen, really, because we're not moving anything. There's only one key that needs to be handled, and it's the unpause button for the simple implementation now. Other things, I might want to add a click. So here you click options, and then those options are out you somewhere. So I'm thinking for now, what we want is just text, which in order to do that, we're going to need the text class. So we're no longer using settings. So let's go ahead and import text from text or / current directory text. I believe that should be fine. And then this dot text equals new text. I don't believe it uses a constructor. It does. Ooh, so this might be a problem. The way I've done these parameters, if I ever want to make another instance of the class, I guess since I'm already passing in the settings, I'll just pass it again. I guess I don't know if that's. See, and that's why I thought importing it in every file would be a better solution, but apparently not. Anyway, so we have the draw context. So basically, I'm going to want to. So my idea is that we have like the draw text in here, and then the ctxt, and then the position. So the idea is that this array here kind of acts as a queue where we load text into the queue, and then drawing the text empties the queue. So literally just this dot text dot, I don't want to say shift, I want to say unshift. I think unshift puts it at the beginning. I'm not sure. Actually, let me look that up. So push and unshift. Unshift adds it to beginning, push adds it to the end. So I'm literally just going to do this dot text dot push text. Basically draw text. What I wanted to do is empty the array. So like say we wanted to put a whole bunch of text on the screen. We push all the text into the text queue and then just empty it all. I don't want to say every frame. I want to make it so that it only empties once. So that say if we need to load the menu, we push the text, draw the text, and then we keep the text on the screen for as long as possible, essentially, because it doesn't need, nothing needs to update unless we add animations, which obviously I'm not prepared for. But so I want to say, you know, for every piece of text in the text array, draw at position. Actually, yes, we're gonna need a position here for sure. So when we add it, we're going to want to item, so like a text item equals the actual text and then the position of that text, and the position is going to be an XY. And then instead of text, we're going to want to push the actual text item into the array. That way we can have position, because we don't want to draw all the text in the array at the same position. That would be kind of pointless. So now this needs to go through. So let me look at the snake code, because I know I have a for loop in there. It should be in the move function. I guess not. Should draw, not move. Here. Nice. Okay. So yeah, I'm just gonna want to copy this logic. I do want to make I think I have another idea for a video series on this channel, and it's gonna be maybe doing Leak Code. Leak Code is a website where you do coding problems, and you pick your language and you compare your solution to other solutions based off of time complexity, space complexity. And I've done a lot of Python, and I've done some Java and Leak Code, but I've never done JavaScript. So I'm thinking of having another series where I'm obviously going to start with the easy problems and learning through JavaScript. And then that will help improve algorithm and just basic, it will help solidify foundational knowledge and help me learn the syntax. So I was definitely another series idea I have in mind. So we have the actual text. This is the wrong file. Okay. So for each segment, and then we need to obviously close this. I believe that is the correct syntax. Let me make sure. Let me put this over here. Yeah, segment, and then equal sign, or I guess arrow. Yes. So for each thing in text, in this.text. Let me change this to be text queue. Just proper, just name it what it is instead of just vague names. And then, so for each thing in the text queue, see, the problem is I want to, it's not what shift does. I want to remove the first element after I do it. Interesting. So, actually, why do that when you could just empty it at the end? Okay, so yeah, I mean, once we actually go through it, we want the text queue to be empty, so let's just say it's empty now. Okay, so now all we have to do is actually write the logic for drawing the text, which will be the pretty much the same as the drawing score. We want to do the same thing, so do that. The only thing different is this is, we want the position, which would be the actually second index of our segment. And then instead of score, we actually are going to want the first element of our segment, which would be the text, as we described up here. It'll be whatever this is. So 0 index, first index. And then the actual, what do we want the font and fill style to be? Fill style is probably going to be the same, but the actual font, we might want different because, actually, we might want it different for every, because say we have a title, right? We're going to want the font to be different. So I guess maybe having a pixel size would be ideal, because we're gonna want it, obviously we're gonna want it to not be 12 pixels, which is what it's described as right now. So actually, let's try to do this right now. So what if we just had Times New Roman, and then we concatenated the strings when we needed them? So say we have the size here, and then this font is actually, so this dot font equals, this is not capital, equals settings dot font. And let me actually go back and change this. Score font can be fine. We'll change that later. But we just want the regular font to be Times New Roman. And then let's just say that this font is a string, but actually a formatted string where we have this actually this should be money sign, I believe. Yes, where we have the actual size in pixels. So that is the second index. And then we actually have pixel. I gotta go out of that. Pixel. And then space, money sign, this dot font. So essentially this should create the string, you know, say we're at 12, 12 pixel, and then this dot font, which is settings dot font, which is times 1. So essentially we're just making this string, except we're putting the number in. I believe that should work. Now we just need to test it. So essentially this should place everything. But what needs to happen is that in our menu, when we draw, we need to actually add the text to... Oh, we're also going to need size now as a parameter. So say we want to run the pause frame. So actually we're going to want a menu, right? So we want to pause. Not def. Pause. Pause. We've been going for too long. Can't spell anymore. I couldn't spell to begin with, honestly. So we pause. So what should that do? That should do this dot text. Ooh. So because we actually have... Actually, this is going to be passed. Because if we want to... Actually, no. Because we're drawing it from... We're drawing the menu from the menu class. So this dot text dot add text paused, and then the position, which needs to be X and Y, not actually 12 but just placeholders. We're gonna want it about in the middle. So right now we know it's 400. We can change. We'll have to update this later. And then the Y, we're probably gonna be want it to be around 100. The size of the font, let's do say 32. So this is gonna add the text to the queue. And then we're going to want to draw that text to the screen. So this dot text dot draw text. Yeah. I don't believe it has a parameter, does it? No, it does. It has the context. So we pass the context. CTX. So this is basically, this is what is going to happen every frame. It's going to check the text array, but since we already drew it to the screen the first time and removed it, we don't actually add the text back, so it should do nothing every time. But pause should still stay there because we never actually cleared the canvas. That's the idea. So this dot menu dot draw, and then eventually in menu we're gonna have to add logic to interact with the menu. But of course we're doing the simple implementation right now just so that we can freeze frame. So this dot menu dot draw context. And since we actually don't need to clear the canvas, ideally, hopefully, shouldn't be a problem. Ideally, it will draw the paused above the snake and everything, so it's not under them. So that is a paused frame for now. So the actual key handler, back to the key handler, we want it to be spaced. So if this state is paused, actually, for now, let's just go with, do we have a key handler for the menu? No. So let's add a key handler. I believe we have to have the event. And then it's literally just going to be straight from the here. Just need this, key pressed. Actually, we're probably going to pass in we'll keep it like this for now. No, we should probably just pass in the key code. But what if it's not a key? Interesting. We'll get simple right now. We're running a little long here. I'll keep it simple. We'll just make an implementation. Hopefully it works. So the menu, key code, console.log, key pressed. We need to figure out what key code is the spacebar. So we actually don't need this. So this is gonna need to be the snake key handler. So actually, I'm gonna want to change this to say, if this is successful, then we need to return true. I don't know why I'm typing it out. I could just copy and paste it. And then else return false. So basically now we can say if this returns true, if this returns false actually, console.log key not handled. And we only want to do this if the is it elif, or I'm guessing it's this. We only want to do this if actually this is not correct. We're gonna need a nested one. So we want to check if the current key is handled by the menu, because we want to pause first, absolutely necessary. And if it's not, then we want to check if it's handled by the snake. And if it's not handled by the snake, well, we have no other key handles available, so it's not handled. That's the thinking behind that. So now we need to go back to the menu, and we need to figure out, please work. Okay, great. Oh boy. Main game.snake.change direction is not a function. Actually, now we want to just do the main.keyhandler. And then we want to pass in the event, I believe. Keep clicking the wrong files. We're running a little long, folks. Yes, we do need the event. So now you can see on the side here, these are the keys. So now when you press spacebar, it looks like it's 32. As you can see, we actually get the key not handled, because currently our key is not handled. So it's actually key 32. So what we're looking for here is So what we're looking for here is if the key pressed is equal to 32, which is the spacebar as we've discovered, then we want to return true. Because that is saying that else return false. Because that is saying that, hey, we found a key that is supposed to happen, return true. So now, what needs to happen is, if this is true, so we're saying if this is false, do this. So now else, which means it is true, we need to change the game state to paused. Now, main. The main function inside of the main class. This is what matters. If state. Here's where it all comes apart. If this dot state is equal to paused. Is a capital. Yes. If it is equal to paused, then we want to run a paused frame. If it is not, make sure we pass the context. If it is not paused, oops, state is equal to, what did I say? Running. Then, actually here, because we want to say if this dot state. So say we're in a pause state. How do we get out of pause state? We're going to need to make sure that if the state is already paused, then we need to make it not paused. And if it isn't paused, then we need to make it pause. Okay. So if it is paused, else we need to run the game frame. So one thing that I'm already noticing is that the game starts as paused. So actually we want that to happen because we don't want the game to start immediately. So hopefully okay. I know the issue. We're actually just straight running game frame. Now we need to run main. Ooh, actually we're going to need to pass in the correct parameters. It's actually going to need with an I here. Which is also going to need to be passed in here. We actually don't need it here, so that should be fine. So instead of this, we just need to call main.main. So here, the game is paused, and then it is unpaused. So that is actually working. Press spacebar, it stops. Press spacebar, it stops. Press spacebar, it stops. So the actual logic is working. But as you can see here, we are no longer clearing the canvas. That is what's happening. We are permanently having every square is not being changed back. Why is that happening? Let's take a look. So when the game is paused, we should get a clear canvas here. When the game is running, we should get a clear canvas, which is strange that we're not. Obviously, this one doesn't have a clear canvas. But also, we're not actually getting the text on the screen as well, which is weird. So our actual key logic is working, but our draw logic is not. So I'm actually going to end it here. We ran a little long, but as you can see, we're running along. We're running along. Here you can see that actually, I believe it's because the canvas isn't actually getting initialized correctly. But that's all for the next part. Thanks for watching. Tune in for the next time to see Learning JavaScript Part 3, where we fix the bugs. It'll be great. Awesome. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.